Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. There. This is why you don't wear hoops. As you can see, today's worship is going to be a little bit different. We'll be spending some time here, and then we're going to move back to the social hall for a community activity. For our friends on Zoom, we have something special planned just for you. So good morning. My name is Jean DeVenny, and I am this morning's worship associate. My pronouns are she, her. We gather in worship to find meaning and to live more deeply. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond, calling us to our better selves, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, we're glad you're here. If today is your first time with us, we'd love to get to know you. Right after service, you're invited to our welcoming room, which is located at the south entrance on this side. And if you're online, our visitor form is being dropped into chat right now. You may have noticed that we don't have a paper order of service, but you can use your phone to access a copy by scanning the QR codes that are scattered throughout the building. You'll find them on the walls. There you will find names of authors and composers of our music and our quotes today. You'll find the text to choir anthems and resources used in our service. Now, let's take a few minutes to greet our neighbors, especially those we don't know yet. Whenever two or more of us are gathered in the name of the holy, we light a chalice, symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith. Today, we light this chalice for the common human need: nourishing food, clean water, shelter, comfort, caring, and productive activity. We share the need to be seen, to be appreciated, to be loved, and we share the common human goals of staying safe, feeling well, and thriving, not just surviving. May we always remember and see this in every face of every person we encounter. And now let's say the words of our mission, which affirm our shared purpose. Empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve our world.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. Hallelujah. My name is Jen Youngsun Rue, and I am the minister here at UUCE. I use the pronouns she and her. Every once in a while, I like to remind you why we do that. We introduce ourselves with our name and our pronoun to promote inclusivity and to convey respect to all people. Last week's Transgender Day of Remembrance and our Club Q Vigil were stark reminders to those of us who identify as straight or cisgender of how much danger and harm persists because of ignorance, prejudice, apathy, and hate. Naming pronouns is just one way that we can live out our UU values. So, today is the first Sunday of Advent. This is a season for spiritual preparation that comes from the Christian tradition. So, I know that these are not the right colors for Advent, but then we do come from a long line of heretics, don't we? And we are always searching for meaningful rituals that speak to our time and our circumstances. In these 4 weeks leading up to Christmas Day, I invite each of you to reflect on hope, peace, love, and joy, not just as holiday card platitudes, but as real sacred values that go as deep as you are willing to go. Especially now, as so much of the world feels broken, today let us light the first candle for hope. I invite you to ask yourselves, what does hope look like in my own life? Especially when it feels like cynicism and despair has taken over the world. I invite you to ask yourselves, what does hope mean to me, really? And what do I want hope to mean to me? I'd like to take a moment now to thank and recognize someone very special to this church. Barb Prentice has been leading the St. Vinny's projects here at the church for many, 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 many years. And she's been saying to me ever since I got here, I need to hand this off to somebody. I need to hand these off to the next generation of UUCE members. So Barb has now been able to do that with at least one of her projects, and she is officially retired from leadership of that project, and that is the one called the St. Vincent de Paul First Place Center and Family Night Shelter Annex Meals Project. No wonder you're tired. That project leadership has been handed off to, I think, a team led by Jolene Simpson. And I just wanted to take time out in this service today, Barb, to recognize you. So would you please rise and let us thank you properly? And of course, our thanks to Jolene and her team for saying yes. Yay. This is a spiritual community that doesn't just talk about transforming itself and serving the world, it takes action. And today is an action day. It's a time for children and youth and the middle-aged and our cherished elders to interact and work together and to get to know each other. It's a chance to do something really tangible and practical. It's a chance for you all to meet someone you haven't had a chance to get to know yet. So in a few minutes, we will learn all the specifics about how this day is going to be organized and who we're partnering with to do this project. And so for the moment, relax. And I want to take us into a time of short meditation. First of all, I want to acknowledge that yesterday we had a wonderful celebration of life for Eileen 80. We remember her. Remember that the Joys and Sorrows table is open to you at any time during the service. You can write your prayers in the book, you can light a candle, you can place a stone in water. Today I want to lift up to your prayers our dear friend Kitty Carlisle, who is in the hospital. And so if you could just keep her in your thoughts today, I'm sure that she would appreciate it. So let your mind rest and feel your body. Imagine that the busy mind of thoughts and ideas and words is actually a small pebble, a small smooth stone. And then imagine that pebble being dropped into a clear, clean body of water. As the pebble lands gently on the bottom, there your mind can find rest. Breathing in, breathing out. Whatever the water above it is doing, the pebble does not move. Breathing in, breathing out. Now consider, what does it feel like when your body is freshly bathed or showered? What does it feel like when your mouth has been cleaned? How does it feel to wash your hands with soap and warm water? How is it to put on a clean, fresh pair of socks when yours get wet? Breathing in, breathing out.
Hi, we are helping the homeless Lane County. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you about our organization and the work we do. We are excited to partner with UUCE to support individuals experiencing homelessness in our community. Our organization started in 2019 as a collaboration between neighbors in Jefferson Westside. Our goal is to promote the health, dignity, and comfort of our community members experiencing homelessness by providing hygiene supplies. We established as a nonprofit in 2021. We are run entirely by volunteers, and our work is funded by community donations. This work is especially close to our hearts, as our nonprofit president and community coordinator both have lived experience with homelessness. Our efforts have become even more important in response to the pandemic due to the vulnerability of our unhoused neighbors who may not otherwise be able to safely access hygiene resources. Lane County has an unfortunately high number of unhoused individuals that may lack access to basic services to stay healthy, clean, and sanitary. We believe that every person deserves the dignity of being clean and healthy. Our mission is to provide hygiene supplies to those in need. We envision a community that can support everyone with the items and services needed to be healthy and hygienic. By donating hygiene kits to local nonprofit and grassroots organizations who work with folks experiencing homelessness, we are able to help fill a resource gap and bolster the supports they are able to offer their clients. Partnering with these programs also helps to streamline distribution of hygiene supplies to community members in need. Some of the organizations we have worked with in the past include Whitebird, Looking Glass Station 7 in New Roads, Burrito Brigade, Hosea Youth Services, Black Thistle Street Aid, and Helping Hands Coalition. Hygiene kits typically include items like first aid kits, toilet paper, a mask, non-latex gloves, travel-sized toiletries such as a toothbrush and toothpaste, deodorant and hand sanitizer, and other personal care items like a razor, tampons and pads, body wipes, and socks. The content of kits varies at times due to need and availability. When we began our organization in 2019, we rented space from UUCE for our monthly meetings. Our first hygiene kits were made on site as our nonprofit began to take shape. Our community coordinator is an involved church member. This fall, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Eugene is partnering with us to create hygiene kits for organizations in our community, such as Egan warming centers and community-supported shelters. These kits will be assembled with donations from UUCE and distributed to local organizations in need this winter. We are so grateful for the opportunity to further our work together through collaboration with UUCE this fall and winter. Thank you for your time and support towards our goals of helping the most vulnerable of our community members access hygiene supplies, while strengthening the resources the programs that serve them are able to offer. If you would like to know more about our work, please check out our website at helpingthehomelesslanecounty.org or email us at helpinglanecounty@gmail.com. From all of us at Helping the Homeless Lane County, thank you, and we wish you a warm and peaceful holiday season.
So a few things before we move into the social hall. There are signs and there are helpers back there who will help you to go through this kind of assembly line process. So first and foremost, please be very attentive to the people around you, the people who may need extra space to move around, the people who need maybe some extra help. Just be sensitive to the folks around you. You can fill more than the one bag that's on your chair. We are asking for donations of at least $10 per bag if you are able to do that. And we take cash or checks. The bags are at the end of the line. And you can also text your donation as well. You're going to also find cards on the chairs next to you. And these are note cards for the bags that you can decorate with pictures or you can write notes. I want to ask you, as you write these notes, please keep in mind that sometimes people of privilege can project our feelings onto other people. And sometimes that we can forget that our neighbors who appear to have little actually possess incredible resilience and incredible strength and incredible capacity for joyfulness. And so I just ask you, as you're writing these notes, to just stay positive, please. Also, Christina, you'll see her in the corner. She has collected items. If you do not want to move into the social hall, just wave to her and she'll come around and bring you a tray so you can put these together at your seats. All right, am I forgetting anything important? Are we good to go? All right, and for the Zoom folks, I'm gonna meet you on Zoom and we'll spend about 15 minutes doing this activity, okay? All right. See you in a little bit. Hey, everybody on Zoom. So we are going to have a special treat right now. The UUA president, Susan Frederick Gray, has just released a video that she has been willing to share with congregations all over the country. And so that's what we're going to do right now.
and the dynamics of our changing world. For more than a year now, I have been talking about these times we are living in as liminal times. Liminal means a time in between, when what has been is no longer and what is ahead is still unclear. The pandemic upended so much of our lives, and yet what is next is still unfolding, still being imagined. I know that many of us are no strangers to this experience, and that for many of our congregations, we are experiencing layers of liminality, layers of transitions. I can relate as I finish my last year as your UUA president, and the UUA prepares to welcome our next president. The UUA president will be elected by delegates from our congregations this coming June at our General Assembly online and in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I hope you will send your delegates. In addition to all of our own personal transitions, a number of our congregations are in various modes of change. Many are in ministerial search or hiring processes for other staff. Others are in their first year of welcoming new staff. You know, across our congregations, we are seeing a lot of staff transition and a shortage of interim ministers. Like a lot of caring professions, we have seen religious professionals leave their work, needing a break after what has been a grueling few years of both pastoral, prophetic, and technological demands. It has all been so much. It could be said that we're all learning to live and adapt in the in-between. We know from these last several years, both the challenge and the losses, as well as the creativity and possibility of these transitional times. And the lessons from these times are crucial to bring forward because in truth, there is still so much change happening and needed within and around all of us. This is certainly true in our congregations where the ways in which people connect to religious community have broadened and shifted and new patterns are still developing. And it's true in our country where we continue to witness systems and practices break down with devastating impacts. From healthcare and infrastructure to basic goods and services to the economy to democracy, our system has shown tremendous weaknesses that impact the vulnerable most acutely. Human and civil rights are being rolled back at an alarming rate, and these fissures overall reflect a society that has put profit and power over people's lives. Now, in times of change and disruption, there is always a risk that fear and anxiety will dominate and lead people to cling more tightly to what has been, to a status quo that has never served the cause of human need, nor the values of justice and equity. But here's the thing. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are a people of faith. We are a people of hope and imagination. And I witness this in so many places across our faith, from congregations that continue to partner and share resources, to the energy and volunteers of UU the Vote, to our congregations, boldly sacrificing to support people in accessing reproductive care, and to all of our congregations celebrating and being a loving community for trans and non-binary children and youth and their families. And so, when so much is uncertain, it matters that we lean in even more to what we know to be true, the life-saving message of our theology and the life-affirming practices of the beloved community. So there is this wonderful parable from the late Denon Perry, a writer and humanitarian, that uses the metaphor of a trapeze artist to describe the experience of living in transition times. This is from the parable of the trapeze from Perry's book, Warriors of the Heart. He writes, "Most of the time, I spend my life hanging on for dear life to my trapeze bar of the moment. It carries me along at a certain steady rate of swing, and I have that feeling that I am in control of my life. But every once in a while, I see another trapeze bar swinging toward me. Each time it happens, I pray that I won't have to let go of my old bar completely before I grab the new one. But in my knowing place, I know that I must totally release my grasp on the old bar, and for some moment in time must hurtle across space before I can grab on to the new bar. Each time, I'm filled with terror. It doesn't matter that in all my previous hurdles across the void of unknowing, I have always made it. Still, each time I'm afraid that I will miss, I do it anyway. Perhaps this is the essence of what the mystics call the faith experience. No guarantees, no net, no insurance policy, but you do it anyway because somehow to keep hanging on to that old bar is no longer on the list of alternatives. So for an eternity that can last a microsecond or 1,000 lifetimes, I soar through the void of the past is gone, the future is not yet. It's called transition, and I've come to believe that this transition is the only place that real change occurs. And I mean real change, not the pseudo change that only lasts until the next time my old buttons get pushed. What a powerful metaphor that is about our lives today. And a reminder that real change, needed change is possible, perhaps only possible in these transition times. Now, there's a few nuggets of wisdom in this story to really draw out. First, as Perry says, as much as we want to stay holding on to our current bar, it just doesn't work that way. We have to totally release our grasp on the old to make way for the new. And this is not easy. I want to be clear, for in times of change, there's a real tension between longing for what was, what we knew was stable, familiar, and meaningful, even if it was not that for everybody. And the opportunity to imagine something new, new forms, new practices, new possibilities in our lives and community. This is so relevant for our congregations today. The pandemic completely changed so much of congregational life and how we gather. And as we navigate what comes next, there's a real tension within many of our communities. Some of us know we can't go back. We know we need something different, and we're ready and excited for that future. But we can also have anxiety and a desperate desire to know for sure what comes next. We want that certainty. Whereas others long for what was, because we are all often attached to what has been familiar to us in our past. And so many people want that familiar congregational experience again. But the truth is both of these are seeking attachment when we are in the midst of transition. And being able to stay in the transition, growing more comfortable with being in that void and uncertainty is the place where growth really happens. And this means experimentation and creativity. And this can be challenging because we want to know what comes next before letting go of what we have always done. But we can spend all our time trying to answer questions we don't have answers to, or we can just go for it and start experimenting with living our theology in ways that give us courage and resilience today. And this means bringing creativity and generosity and care to the children and youth and families that are so in need because of this pandemic. And it means courage to answer the call to fully live in active solidarity with those who know how much is on the line and working to bring about more justice, equity, and compassion to fruition. Because here's the other gem in the parable. When the trapeze artist lets go of the bar, they do not free fall. There is momentum carrying them as it carries us all. And it's that fear of free fall that can keep us clinging to something that no longer works. But our connection, our shared history, our ancestors, our songs and readings and poetry, our spiritual imagination, all of these are momentum that propel us forward. We give each other courage. And the truth is, we are not swinging on these bars alone. We are together in this moment. And we will make mistakes and we will learn from them and we will learn to love again if we are willing to take a leap of faith. I want to acknowledge how embodied this metaphor of the trapeze artist is. But remember disabled acrobats and blind aerialists whose art and athleticism carries the same metaphors. There are many words I could use to describe the momentum that keeps propelling us in these liminal times. Calling, mission, whatever it is that acts as a beacon that calls us forward, calls us towards what is most treasured in our faith, that calling of the beloved community. And when I speak of beloved community, I mean the description that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. offers about a community that practices an all-inclusive, overflowing love that supports everyone's thriving, and a love that cannot tolerate injustice, exploitation, discrimination, and poverty because of the damage these things do to human thriving. Denon Perry ends his parable with one final lesson. He writes, I have a sneaking suspicion that the transition zone is the only real thing, and the bars are illusions we dream up to avoid the void where the real change, the real growth occurs for us. Yes, with all the pain and fear and feelings of being out of control that can, but not necessarily accompany transitions, they are still the most alive, most growth-filled, passionate, expansive moments in our lives. Transforming our need to grab that new bar, it can be terrifying. It can also be enlightening in the true sense of the word. Hurtling through the void, we may just learn how to fly. Oh, I love that ending from Perry. And I want to use it to end with a charge for all of us. Yes, we have been in a time of change and uncertainty for years now. So many bars on which we relied just disappeared. And many of us know the deep pain of being forced into a transition that we never wanted. Naturally, within all of us, we want to get to that next bar, to be settled, to have the pandemic over, to have this transition time done, to be through the grief. However, as much as we all want to find that solidity, may we remember that as Perry offers, the bars are the illusion, and that transition is the only real time, and it's the most alive and growth-filled space. And in that liminality, in that in-between, we may just learn to fly. Because in this world that is indeed at a threshold moment, we need religious communities that are living actively in this in-between time, willing to remain unsettled because so much is unsettled. Communities leaning into and reimagining what prophetic, life-saving, and justice-making ministry and community can be. Communities practicing a generosity of spirit, a generosity of care and belonging, of mutual support, to support one another in love in these times. And knowing faithfully that our values, our spiritual imagination, our interdependence will carry all of us forward. May it be so. And I want to just end with a prayer. Spirit of life, we are mindful of all those who came before us. We are mindful and committed to all those who will come after us. Love, hold us fast to what is best and deepest in us. Hold us close to one another and to all that is our life. And may we keep true to all that calls us forward in love and in liberation. Blessed be, and amen.
Amen. Closing words, I want to give Vicki, our neighbor Vicki, who is part of this nonprofit Help for the Homeless, to come up. Because this day would not have happened without Vicki, so you want to come up.
I always kind of have a tendency to think through life that life is a journey, not a guided tour. Wow. So far, I'm happy. I could cry. And this is awesome. This is something that I don't know whether Tim or I or anybody else could have ever expected. And where this journey's at, you guys are awesome. I'm so blessed to have you guys in my life. Very, very blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's say together the words, our closing words. We extinguish this flame. These we carry in our hearts. until we are together again. And now go forth into this brand new day and into this new week. Be of love, everyone. Be of good cheer.